Hi, it's Brickbomb Bishop here, and we're going to have a look at the advanced flight mechanics, especially on the heavier aircraft such as the Merlin in front of us. There's a good video from the Central Walrus which should help you with the basics, but we're going to have a look at how it actually affects flight and how to select LZs and be a transport pilot in general. Before any of you ask, my heads-up display is slightly different. I do use the two compasses overlaid with each other. My altimeters disappeared off the bottom. Speed, pitch, and my vertical speed indicator are the only ones in the center. I don't actually pay any attention to them. What I use is the windows. I can get all the information that I need from just looking outside. Right, let's get going. I'm just going to take the wheel brakes off, which is another good thing about the rotor lip, which means you can roll around an LZ to maneuver without having to take off. Just be careful, they're very sensitive, and if you use too much rudder you can flip the aircraft over, and the same reason, just stay below 25 kilometers per hour. I'm going to roll down the runway now. Just be careful of all helicopters. When you take off, the torque of the engine will make them bank right. So when I'm increasing the collective now, I'm going to slowly introduce a bit of left stick and a bit of left rudder just as we leave the ground, like so. And this means we're going to fly in a straight line. The direction of flight, the gun sight gizmo, is currently pointing at the end of the runway, and my nose is pointing off to the south. That brings me on to the fact that the way your nose is pointing is relatively unimportant in the general scheme of things. The gun sight gizmo is what I used to fly throughout this whole video. It will be the most important thing you can pay attention to. It's going to tell you where your aircraft's going to be, basically. And if I place it a few feet above this hill, I am not going to die. I'm going to skim this hill very gently, like so. Brings me onto the collective. If I rapidly increase the collective, the engine will die. If I drop the collective, the engine RPM will increase, and this will have the effect of wasting energy and not being very efficient at climbing or descending. If I turn hard left with the nose low and collective stable, it makes a nice little brake turn. If I do the same thing to the right but increase the collective, the engine dies, speed drops, and I have to drop the collective to get the RPM of the engine back. Basically I become a sitting duck, and this kind of leads on to auto rotation. So we're going to take a little pause from this one and we're going to deal with some emergencies. I'm going to fly one of my favourite helicopters now, the Lynx. It's a lot more manoeuvrable than some of the heavy lifters of the Merlin and Chinook. It's very similar to the Huey and the Black Hawk. They have a lot more uses on the battlefield. They do sometimes come with CAS roles, but we're just going to stick with the unarmed transport roles. It's very fast and agile. It's good for medivacs or troop deployments. Let's just run for a few, but I think the first one we're going to do is a auto rotation failure. When I say failure, I'm intentionally going to panic. To successfully auto rotate, you need to balance your airspeed, your attitude, and your rate of descent. Your attitude is basically you want to keep it right side up. Your airspeed, you want some forward momentum, just so you can increase the energy going into the rotors, and also if your rear tail rotor fails, you have a direction. Your collective will control the rate of descent and also keep kinetic energy inside the blades. As we cross over this hill, I'm just going to drop the collective rapidly. Tap the hill and oh my god, we're going to crash. Full on collective, turn, no, brake, ah! Yeah, that's sucked for both of us. Right, we're going to do it properly this time. We're going to stay calm. We're going to assess the situation. We need to see what damage we get. We need to see if we can make an LZ, and we need to try and glide there as best we can, and then auto rotate for the landing. Alright, let's give it a go. Bounce between those rocks. Right, main rotor hasn't failed completely, should be able to glide quite well. Speed is good, collective back to medium. We are holding our altitude quite well. LZ on the far side of town looks good, speed is good. Collective, just drop it down a tad. Speed is still good, nose back, collective drop to bring up the RPM of the engine fully. This is looking real good. Sun's blinding me, not sure how steep this hill is. Just pull back on the stick and we are down. Once you come to a stop, make sure you get out the aircraft. Now this is very important. You need to move away from the aircraft. The aircraft might actually be repairable. What you don't want is the enemy firing at you from over there and damaging the aircraft any further. You've landed it safely, so pop smoke to show that you're alive. Move away from the aircraft. Get into cover. Now you need to assess the surroundings, radio for help, and, if necessary, treat the wounded. The green smoke hopefully will tell friendlies that some idiot crashed a helicopter and not to shoot in your general direction. During ops, you shouldn't fly dangerously as a transport pilot. Your objective is to get people safely to the AO. However, training is a good idea. Fly down some canyons and get used to how the aircraft handles. Using the direction of flight indicator on the collective, just coats it round. If the aircraft beeps, it means that you've asked too much of a change of direction and the aircraft cannot cope with that. You're basically stalling the rotor blades or the engine. The thing is, it should be as smooth and steady with these big aircraft. Take your time. Any small error will be multiplied as there's no room to correct. It's mainly just keeping on top of everything. Try and keep your speed up and your collective below 100%. When you come across any trees, make sure you tilt your aircraft so that you have maximum distance to the rotor blade. I'm just entering this last little section now, but quite a lot of speed onto it. Collective needs to be quite high up. You might have to do the odd brake turn just to lose some of the excess speed that you picked up while firefighting. And I think, there we go, we're out the canyon. The direction of flight indicator showing if we're going to miss everything else. And I'm going to climb off to the left hand side. The only people that should be doing that, recon choppers or choppers carrying special forces, may fly down canyons or between trees to avoid detection, as the risks of detection is far worse than the risks of crashing. The only other exception is medevac choppers. They may not have time to deviate their flight paths to avoid AA. Flying low and fast is probably their only option to save lives. Coming back to the advanced flight mechanic, it's made the aircraft somewhat more predictable. I seem to make less errors, purely because it handles more like a real helicopter. For instance, coming down this hill now, I'm picking up some speed, but I'm going to leave my collective halfway. I'm just going to pull back on the stick, and physically the aircraft will pull out of the dive without any other interaction. It's really handy. Let's just pick up some speed, shall we? As we pick up more and more speed, I need more and more collective to go in a straight line. I'm physically asking the engine more just to keep me in the air. And as we're going maximum speed, maximum collective, if I make a turn, there is no more power the engine can give me. And it will just beep. Yep, there we go. And I could do the same thing as if I want to pull out of the dive or anything like that. There is just limited power remaining. Now, if you drop the collective, you'll get more RPM back, so you should be fine. But if you continue to pull back and have the collective raised, you probably end up crashing. Right, we're going to come into land. Make sure your gear's down, your brakes are off, put your flight direction indicator on the end of the runway, then start banking left. Just drop yourself slowly down, using your speed to control your height, not your collective. Lower yourself into the runway, make sure you're facing the right direction, touch down, and then use the rudder pedals to make sure you're pointing straight, and then start applying your brake. Now, I landed incredibly fast. Oh, brake's scary, above 60. As soon as you get under 60, it's completely safe. I landed incredibly fast there just to show it was possible to do, but 50 or 60 kilometers an hour is probably the safest bet. Swapping over to a live op now. I wanted to show you how to approach an LZ. Always retard your aircraft before you get to the LZ, because overshooting means you're probably going to be over the enemy. This other thing is it always comes at under 50 meters. I'm coming in quite high because you can't adjust the fog back. Always try and see where you're going to land prior to getting there. You can see the left hand side of the road looks quite clear of the obstacle. As I'm coming down, we get shot at, I immediately drop the collective and turn away from the fire. Thinking I might bug out, I see the field directly ahead of me. The houses and blue container is going to offer good protection from the shooter, as there's not a high volume of fire.
Yo, can me and Copy not be in the same
Copy that, Alpha. Bravo, what you doing? Bravo, touchdown right now.
Transport pilots will have a lot of free time on their hands after dropping off the troops. Here, a Black Hawk drops off a supply crate, allowing the frontline troops to rearm. This can save valuable time in an operation, as none of the troops have to return to base to rearm, and it also makes the transport pilot very useful in his downtime. To do this, all we need to do is press right control and B to bring up the sling loader system. There's 3 vehicles ahead of me, but only 2 of them will show up in this system. The Challenger 2 tank is way too heavy to pick up by the Mohawk. Once you've got the target vehicle you want to pick up highlighted in green, just press B. This will start the process. Then, all you need to do is get within 10 meters of the vehicle and it will start attaching to your helicopter. If you go too far forwards, it will pause, but it won't reset, so all you need to do is bring yourself back into line with the vehicle. It's the same as if you go too high, it will also pause, like so. Drop yourself down, complete the connection. Once the vehicle's hooked, you've added a 3-ton Land Rover to the bottom of your vehicle. You will need to apply a lot more collective to get off the ground. So you might have to fly a lot slower and a lot safer than you would normally would. To drop the vehicle off, you just need to hover above the ground and press B. Right, I'm going to land in the middle of the town. It's a hot LZ, but it's for something like a medivac or critical troop deployment. It's something that the commander has deemed so necessary for the mission's success that he's sending our unarmed chopper into that firefight. Now I'm going to use all the skills that I've run through already in the video. I'm mostly going to be using my flight direction indicator to get me safely to the AO. My only defense in this unarmed chopper is my altitude and my speed. Now you will never see me fly like this deploying troops to a standard LZ. However, when my chopper is empty and I'm deploying something that's mission critical and in a high risk area which is covered with AA, this is the only way to approach the LZ. You should be flying between 25 and 50 meters off the ground. At 25 meters, there's a lot less work involved with flying the aircraft. Above 50, you start adding more risks than rewards. It's basic trigonometry. If you're flying at 35 meters and there's an enemy behind a 25-degree hill, he will spot you at 96 meters away. However, if you're travelling at 70 meters up, the enemy will see you at 192 meters. And if you're travelling at 200 kilometers an hour, that means you're doing 50 meters per second. The fact is that you're going to be spotted 2 seconds early. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think about someone turning, lifting a weapon, locking on and firing at you, it can make a big difference. Right, the LZ's inside, but I'll stop talking numbers and concentrate. Command Whiskey 99 is under fire. I've been painted. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Whiskey 99 is going down west of the LZ. Going in hard. Ah, God, an unplanned crash tutorial. Right, you got to balance your speed, keep popping flares. Try and keep your vertical speed in control and your horizontal speed. Try and get it decreasing until you get to a landing speed of about 50 to 40. There you go, kilometers an hour. As soon as you come to a stop, get out and run. Whiskey 992 kilometers out. Whiskey 99, LZ inside. Taking HMG fire. Right, coming into the LZ now, we're just going to pop up a flare to the left hand side. Little brake turn over the tree. Not above 35 meters, all good. Coming down to the LZ, don't know about it sliding a bit. Oh god, yeah, maybe sliding a lot. Still taking fire from that HMG. Hopefully those troops are coming in now. Right, waiting. Hope to get a green light now. Go. Oh, get off the ground. Bit of clumsy. Right, and get out. Whiskey 99 returning to base. Right, that's us in and out. Hopefully we'll leave his arc of fire in, well, yeah, after that. We'll leave his arc of fire in a few seconds. I just wanted to make note, we have a lot of really good pilots at A3G. But some of them get a bit of a bad name, because if you lose a chopper, it matters. If you lose a hunter, no one cares. So often a small mistake will cost you a really bad name. So just be careful when you're flying. If you crash, that's bad. If you get shot down, don't worry about it, it happens to everyone. As long as you learn something from it, I'm sure no one will be mad at you for too long. And again, there's a lot better pilots than me at A3G, so if you have any further questions, or if I haven't covered anything, just ask any one of them and I'm sure they will help. If you want to fly with me in an op and be bored, you can do that. But I would like to thank you for watching this video, and I hope you've learnt something. Well, that was good timing.